Put your grocery list on the scales, and whatever your grocery list weighs, I will give you that amount in groceries." Louise hesitated a moment with a bowed head. Then she reached into her purse and took out a piece of paper and scribbled something on it. She then laid the piece of paper on the scale carefully with her head still bowed. The eyes of the grocer and the customer showed amazement when the scale went down and stayed down. The grocer, staring at the scales, turned slowly to the customer and said begrudgingly, "I can't believe it." The customer smiled and the grocer started putting the groceries on the other side of the scale. The scale did not balance, so he continued to put more and more groceries on them until the scales would hold no more. The grocer stood there in utter disgust. Finally, he grabbed the piece of paper from the scales and looked at it with greater amazement. It was not a grocery list. It was instead a prayer which said, "Dear Lord, you know my needs, and I'm leaving this in your hands." The grocer gave her the groceries that he had gathered and stood in stunned silence. Louise thanked him and left the store. The customer handed a $50 bill to the grocer and said, "It was worth every penny." It was sometime later that the grocer discovered the scales were broken. Therefore, only God knows how much a prayer weighs. Now, when we look at this story, we can relate to it. We look at the situation that we are presently in, and we tend to ask God, "Where are you?" But here it is. We can see, after taking a piece of paper from her purse and placing it in the scale, the topic, it comes home clearly: stand still. And if we look in Exodus 14 and verse 13, Exodus 14 and verse 13, when Moses would have said to the children of Israel, after they left Egypt and they were there quarreling, "Moses, you took us from our comfort zone and you're taking us here for us to die." And he reminded them, "Don't be afraid. Don't run away. Stand where you are and watch the Lord save you today." Now, as we go through, we would have been depending, and I hope we have been depending on the Lord for us to take us through. And He's just saying to us, this is a season that He's placing us through. Are we able at this point in time to realize that the Lord is just putting us at various places or in various situations for us to remember that there is a God, for us to remember that He's just reminding us that He's working on us and He's saying to us, "Stand still." It's not easy to stand still, because just imagine saying to your child, "Stand there, don't move." How long will that child be able to stand there? But yet our Heavenly Father is saying to us, "Stand still." Stand still, parents. Stand still, members of staff. Stand still, whoever you are listening to this recording. Stand still, knowing that indeed God is in control. And I leave this song with you. I know a man who can. I can take a heart that's broken, make it over again. But I know a man who can. I can't take a soul that's sin sick, make make it white as the snow. But I know a man who can. Some call him Savior, the Redeemer of all men. I call him Jesus, for he is my dearest friend. If you feel no one can help you and your life is out of hand, but I know a man who can. I can't walk upon these waters or calm the troubled sea, but I know a man who can, and I can cause blind eyes to open or make the lame to walk again, but I know a man who can. Some call him Savior, the Redeemer of all men. I call him Jesus, for he is my dearest friend. If you feel no one can help you and your life is out of hand, but I know a man who can. Yes, I know a man who can. And so, Heavenly Father, we thank you for another morning. We thank you that we can come in this fashion to recognize that you are God. And as we go through this another academic year, we ask, Heavenly Father, that for each and every one of us, you'll bestow your love and your mercies upon us. We know the challenges that are there, but we know, Heavenly Father, that you're the one who is guiding us. And so we ask that you'll be with Green Island High School, that you'll continue to work on each and every one of us, so that as we do the work that you have called us to do, and as parents, you have placed a greater responsibility because you have placed these children into their care, and in return, Heavenly Father, they're placing them into our care. And one of these days, we still do have to give an account for all the children that would have come in contact with and how would have helped to mold their lives. And so, Heavenly Father, help us to be the best we can. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Let me acknowledge the presence and power of God who is the head of my life this morning. And the angels who have been acknowledge the presence and power of Almighty God, who is the head and keeper of my life, our lives, and the angels who are doing a good job of watching over us in this pandemic. I therefore come down to the earth and acknowledge personnel from the Ministry of Education, the Chairman of the Board of Management, who will join us shortly, other members of the Board of Management, members of faculty and staff. Let me welcome you and greet you. Good morning to you all. To those who are with me in studio this morning, and thank you for coming on board to share in this conference, but in particular to be able to guide us technically. To all you parents and guardians, good morning, greetings, good to be with you. To God be all the glory for life and this opportunity that we have to meet in this forum. For all the things He has done, let us be reminded that only by His mercies we are kept. Let us join at this time with all of Jamaica and Jamaicans in the diaspora in welcoming our new Minister of Education, the Honorable Fable S. Williams. I want to say hello also, greetings to other members of the Ministry of Education and staff. How are you all? How are you doing out there? I trust that you are keeping your children and yourselves safe during this troublesome time. It is my pleasure to address you this morning on the plans for the reopening of school here at Green Island High. There are several words that come to mind, and I'll share some of them. Anxiety, unrest, uncertainty, fear, joy, sympathy, empathy, appreciation, calm, and peace. The one, however, the one word which stands out is more certain today than any other word among those, and that is uncertainty. We are living in uncertain times. Hence, we pause to thank the Ministry of Education, ministry officials, and our regional director, Dr. Michelle, and our education officers, in particular, Mrs. Patricia Mombilelo, our former Member of Parliament, Mr. Ian Hales, and Mrs. Kay Casserly of Hanover Charities, community members, parents, and the many stakeholders and well-wishers for the support, assistance, guidance, and cooperation that has been shared with us over this uncertain period. Whilst we concern ourselves with the offshoots of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are mindful that the wheels of life are still turning. So we want to reach out to our grieving families at this time who have lost their loved ones, home and abroad, who have lost jobs, who are ailing, or are caring for the less fortunate among us. Our prayers are indeed with you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to school for the year 2020-2021. Today, we hope to share with you that school is in. We normally talk about school being out, but now school is in. We will share in how we will reopen, your responsibilities, our expectations, and your expectations of us, and the channels through which you will be able to reach us and make your queries as you offer your suggestions. And ladies and gentlemen, we are all in this thing together. Now more than ever, since COVID-19, we have learned to live and appreciate one another. One, school resumes after the great lockdown and online learning. After exam preparations and the sitting of the City and Guilds Customer Service examination yesterday for all our final year students of last year, school begins on Monday coming October 5, 2020. Based on the Ministry of Education guidelines and the mandates of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, we cannot reopen face-to-face or for physical school at this time. Instead, we will be resuming online. And what an interesting terminology. Online in distant learning mode. We will employ, like other schools within the nation, a blended approach toward children's education through one, distance learning, for which we thank the Ministry of Education for the G Suite LMS, that is Learning Management Systems, where our teachers were all trained together with the administration. And the school is soon to be registered with the G Suite LMS for all students. And I want you to get with the terminology. So you know LMS means Learning Management System. Two, we will also be utilizing printed material. So we will group students according to their needs so that no child will be left behind. And I should have asked you to applaud the Ministry of Education. They deserve a clap and applause. Thirdly, we will also be engaging our students in small groups where necessary for the exit examinations. As our students prepare for these examinations in CSEC, CAPE, and other such exams as the Ministry of Education will dictate. Thanks to all my teachers who have begun to employ children in preparation for those exams already. Thanks to you and them for preparing our outgoing students for the 2020 sitting of these external examinations. And did I say 2020? It has stuck in my mind, this whole business of what 2020 is, that it seems not to go up. But it is the June 2021 sitting of the external exams. I want to say thanks to our teachers who have already started to engage our students in preparation for these examinations. Let me congratulate you, parents and guardians, for starting the machinery and allowing your children. Yesterday we saw a good show of our students coming out for their exams, and I'm sure as you are at home, you will be in such a mood. I know you're happy to hear that school is in, and you will want the children to come out, and so we are happy to know that you are on board, and we ask that you listen for the arrangements of their school leaving exercise, that is the group who went by last year, their school leaving exercise COVID edition. So the COVID edition of the school leaving exercise. All that we do here at Green Island High School is centered around the protection and safety of all concerned, through the wisdom of God and the guidance of those that He leads, or those whom He leads. Your health, safety, and well-being matters, ladies and gentlemen. We are prepared or have prepared class schedules or timetables for all students, and will begin with all students online. Therefore, all students will be assigned or be given an email or Gmail address that will link them to the Ministry of Education's Learning Management System, that's the LMS, for the G Suite platform, free of cost. So, come Monday morning, we will settle our registration issues, so make sure that your child has been registered or is accounted for, and if you have any concerns or queries, feel free to reach out to us. During the week, we will administer diagnostic tests to get a feel of where our students are in relation to where they should be. All grade 7 to 9 students will sit these tests online. So, no record of a child registered will mean there will be no Gmail address. And no Gmail address means no link, no access to the tests, and therefore no record of where our children are. Parents and guardians, I appeal to you. We must zap the gaps. We must catch up to reach up, or to excel, or to have our children excel. We encourage all of you, therefore, our special clients, because without kids, we have no school. School is for kids, and you are the providers of these, our children. And so, we encourage you all to engage in our virtual meetings and events, which we hope to air at a time convenient to all going forward, as we will endeavor to reach all our students through you at the lowest access point. So far, our lowest access point is our WhatsApp groupings. As it stands, we now have 4 PTA groups hosting approximately 600 out of 1,800 parents. And that tells me that there are so many other parents who are not on board. Please get on board. Parents, you are asked to join only one group, as we are taking a check of how many of you are in our reach, or how many of you we are reaching, and how many more we must. We ask, therefore, that you contact the school through your WhatsApp groups, your teachers who are in your classrooms or would have been in your classroom somewhere between March and May or June. And through that medium, you'll be able to now get onto the WhatsApp groups. Online schooling, ladies and gentlemen, is new. And new things create an initial fear or challenge. There is now a way of life which requires that you, our parents or guardians, accept the responsibility to hold the students accountable. They must take responsibility, mommies and daddies, aunties, uncles, and other family members for their learning. There must be evidence of their work, and what better way to do it online before the whole world. There must be evidence of their research and their assessments so that the reporting can be authentic, and whatever you see out there, you would know it is accurate. We must do all to keep them on track with the rest of their peers in Jamaica and the Caribbean, and by extension, the world. Their responsibility is to use all that is in their power to excel. They are better manipulators, ladies and gentlemen, of the technology. So let them help you to get on board too. So you will know exactly what's going on in their educational lives. The formula is known. And I have put this together. Qualified teachers, they are all trained under LMS, plus supportive parents equal enthused students, and enthused students must excel. I repeat, qualified teachers plus supportive parents equals enthused students, and enthused students must excel. If your child or you yourself, after the initial setup this weekend, is experiencing any challenges with school, getting on the classes, learning, or registering, or any such school-related matters, please inform your teachers online or by telephone so that we can find a solution. There are plans afoot to provide all students with smart devices, and I know the Ministry of Education, the government of Jamaica, have placed that out there in the media, and so you're all excited. And this is to assist with their continued learning even at a distance. For now, after which we are going to blend the distance learning with the offline or face-to-face modalities. Thanks to the government of Jamaica, therefore, and the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information for leading the charge in providing for schools, teachers, and yourselves. So, all grades 10 to 13 students on the path are expected to receive a device. There is none at our school yet. I repeat, we don't have those devices just yet. So, because of some glitches in our procurement and the demand of these items on the island, Green Island High School, albeit with other schools, will be procuring these devices through e-learning Jamaica. Other students will also be catered for based on their needs. But please help us to share with all students. If your child or ward has a device already, we want to ensure that all other students receive such to encourage them in their learning. There is now a policy proposed by the Ministry of Education called the BYOD, and that means bring your own device policy. This will be enforced when we resume normalcy, that is the physical physical face-to-face instructions. And so we ask that as of now, we make provision for the safety of these gadgets, the storage of these gadgets, and note carefully that when these gadgets are provided from the school level, that you will be signing your little contractual documents to ensure that you keep them safe, you keep them as long as possible so that the child can benefit as much as possible from this inclusion. There will also be support materials provided for the children. So our textbook rental program is still on, and textbooks will be distributed during the week beginning October 12th. Outstanding books must be returned. Parents and guardians, I repeat, outstanding books must be returned for your neighbors to get them, to other brothers and sisters in the lower groups for them to get them. We are still awaiting supply of textbooks from the Ministry of Education, and we trust that we will be able to provide those as soon as they are available. 3, we will also be sharing information regarding electronic copies of books called e-books. I know that this for some of you parents is a new norm. It's a new way of life. It's new and it's scary. But allow us at the school level, your administrators and teachers, to guide you into this path or along this journey. So there are ebooks that are coming on stream already. Our upper school students are introduced to them. That is, our grade 10 to 13 students. And so, in time, all of us will get on board. 4, printed materials will be packaged and distributed on a schedule to be announced. You see, we do not want any child to be left behind, and as such, we are going to ensure that we package the material if you cannot get access to the internet. So whatever the student gains by way of the online training, you will also be privy to it. You will get an opportunity to be a part of it. It will not be different, only that it will be in printed form. Our teachers will be also working on a setup, a kind of introductory, and I must tell you this, the Ministry of Education has also put out videos that will help you to navigate through the learning management system. So you will have a video sent to you if you don't understand it. Our teachers here will guide you through the process while you watch to make it easier for you to traverse that space and be able to get your child on and benefit from the learning experience. I'm excited because you see, this is where the world is or going, and therefore Jamaica is not left behind, Hanover is not left behind, and Green Island High School is not left behind. Finally, in that regard, the news media has been charged with the responsibility of broadcasting and recording lessons. So, in time, through our WhatsApp groups, we are going to be ensuring that you learn of these media houses that will be hosting these lessons. So, Ready TV, CVM, TVJ, the Gleaner Company. I remember sometime before that Love FM and NCU were all on board as it relates to the broadcasting and recording of lessons for our students' assistants. So try to get connected somehow. No child should indeed be left behind. If your child ward is not engaged for a day, parents, if they are not engaged for a day, or I would hope you do not wait for a week, please do not hesitate to contact the school. His or her future, yours, mine, the future of our country, the world, is dependent on this move, this giant move. And it costs. So I'm asking that you understand that the Jamaican government is spending our money. You are therefore charged with the responsibility to ensure that the children utilize all these opportunities and not waste the time. They cannot afford to waste time. The onslaught of COVID-19 reminded us that we might just have a disaster that stops school in its tracks. Even now, with online learning, something may just happen, God forbid, and it will cause all of us to be thrust into a situation where schooling stops abruptly or partially. And then, what will happen to our children and their future and ours? We must therefore take good care of ourselves, our children, all the opportunities provided for them, so that we'll be able to move forward and even in another disaster, be able to recover because the preparation would have been made. I prepared this morning and looked at Brand Green Island High. How we could brand our school. What is it that stands out for Green Island? And I can tell you this much, that the care is at a max. The care is at a max. Albeit we might not reach everyone, and so we want everyone to be in on this. So the guidance department, the Department of Health and Family Life Education, the safety and security arm of the school, and the Island Community Coalition Group are all geared towards assisting in the psychosocial aspect of the schooling of our children. So, the PTA, the Past Students Association, the Rotary Club, and other such groups, and I can say some of the sports entities are in and on and assisting our children to return to school. All these and more will be engaged in preparing our children for their learning at this time and for their future. There will be a help desk set up for you, our children, and your neighbors' children, for staff and their families, for other students in nearby schools, and also for members of the community. We will send and post the schedules to you via our online sites at school, in the community, as well as on notice boards in the churches, the town centers, the villages, and the like, for your information. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for our not being able to communicate with you well, as our landline systems have gone down for some time, and in this area where we are lightning prone, and when it rains, it affects our connectivity, we'd like to apologize for saying. Thanks to those persons who have found a way to contact and support our drive for excellence. In a week or so, we will have company contact numbers for you. But in the meantime, within the time, please call us at 876 435 5457. Other numbers will come through your teachers and through our data managers, our systems administrator, and we trust that you will use the opportunity to share just about any of your concerns, and we will make every effort to assist you. Our email address is greenislandhigh@yahoo.com. greenislandhigh@yahoo.com. That means there is no word school in that email address. The learning management systems will soon be known, and so we will upload the data to you for a new set of email addresses. Our website can be located at greenislandhigh.com. Very easy. greenislandhigh.com. Our school's mission, ladies and gentlemen, remains to achieve 90 to 95% success in student performance through high standards, given enough time and support. We see in our vision, therefore, your children as scholars who will display their talents, abilities, good character, and innovation. It is hoped that they will come up with new ideas, new methods of doing things, or new products, and maybe they'll be able to solve world problems, national problems, and our own personal problems. All of this, ladies and gentlemen, is mirrored through the Ministry of Education's priority policies, and I named them quickly. Safety, security, and uniformed groups in all schools. Commendations to you, parents and guardians, to our trainers, teachers within the school and other community members, and groups of students in our schools, from the class monitor right up to our cadets. Hats off to all of you. The second priority policy is technology in education and administration. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We started long ago, but now everybody has to be wired up and linking up, networking, and getting ready to touch base with the rest of the island as well as the rest of the world. Jamaica is a small place, probably a dot on the globe. But one thing is sure, we are in connection. We have our place all over the globe. And in education, we continue to strive for excellence. The third policy is that of differentiated instruction for effective teaching and learning that is now being facilitated through the LMS G Suite modality for learning, or teaching and learning. Finally, or before that, we also have the Youth Development and Career Advancement Policy, and this is our driving force here at Green Island High School. Finally, the efficiency in public information and communication, that for us is a work in progress towards excellence. As we stand resolute in reflecting excellence in all its forms, and so we pledge allegiance to the name excellence, our motto, our clarion call, Green Island High School. To you we give our all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I trust that your questions and answers or your questions will be catered to at this time, and the answers will be given accordingly. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Jeremy Dodd, one of the guidance counselors of this noble institution, Green Island High School. I bring you greetings from the guidance and counseling department, and by extension, the other two counselors, Mrs. Lisa Francis and Mr. Devon Madam. It is my pleasure to share with you in a nutshell some of the things the Guidance and Counseling Department does for our path students and other pupils we have identified to be needy students who are not yet on the path program. The Guidance Department, working in collaboration with the school's administration and the school's cafeteria staff, ensure that a hot meal is provided for and served daily to our path students, except in rare cases where there are technical glitches. Right? So, in cases where we have, there are rare cases where we have technical glitches, the students may not be given a particular meal. The students are asked to report on time to school to collect their path tokens, and that is, they go to their homeroom teachers, and in case where the homeroom teachers are not there, they are asked to report or come to the guidance office to collect their tokens at a particular time. The time is specified. The time specified is posted on the door of the Guidance and Counseling Office. In addition, by the way, to providing the hot meal, the department is currently embarking upon an initiative to provide a breakfast, warm breakfast for the students. This initiative will naturally come on stream once all the dynamics are worked out and we are given the green light to return to the school grounds to resume what can be considered as normal operation. The department also do a bit of fundraising from time to time to assist needy students who are in need. The financial assistance is given to some of these students from the intake of these welfare funds. So every now and again we embark upon fundraising activities, and needy students are assisted. It's also going to be coming on stream once we are given again the green light to resume level of normalcy in our operation bus program that will assist the students. That is forthcoming. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time and attention in this particular regard.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Edward Cunningham, Parish Public Health Specialist with responsibility for vector control services with the Hanover Health Services. This morning, I'll be focusing my attention a bit on the topic health, wellness, and environment. Now, for us to have a better understanding of what we'll be discussing this morning, we wanted. Good morning, everyone. I'm Edward Cunningham, Parish Public Health Specialist with responsibility for vector control services with the Hanover Health Services. This morning, I'll be focusing my attention a bit on the topic health, wellness, and environment. Now, for us to have a better understanding of what we'll be discussing this morning, we want to take a bit of time to understand what health and wellness actually means. Now, most times, health and wellness are terms that are used interchangeably. And for that reason, because of how interrelated they are, many persons think that they are actually the same thing. However, a better understanding of the original meanings of both words helps us to understand that they're not quite the same thing. Now, the World Health Organization in the 1940s, they coined a definition for health. Now, this definition helps us to appreciate that health refers to a state of complete physical, mental, social well being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Now, what that simply means is that generally, if a person does not have an illness, they're considered to be healthy. So, if I don't have diabetes or hypertension or something like that, then I'm generally considered to be healthy. But that only focuses on the physical part of the individual. For one to be truly healthy, we also have to take into consideration their mental health and also the social aspect of things. Because if an individual does not have food, clothing, and all life's basic necessities, then that often stresses them, creating a mental imbalance, which then leads to physical issues because now you're affected in such a way that your body is not functioning at its best. And that then leads to illnesses such as diabetes, hypertension, etc. Now, although this definition can be characterized as being overly inclusive and possibly unattainable, especially as it relates to the word complete, it's very important because it helps us to appreciate that when we talk about the individual, we have to take in the entire being, not just the physical about the individual. Now, according to the WHO, the primary determinants of health include the social, economic, and physical environment that a person exists in. And we can also add the person's individual characteristics and behavior. Now, the maintenance and good improvement of health accordingly depends not only on the external or environmental factors, including health care that's available to an individual, because that's also important in determining the health status of individuals. But it also focuses on the efforts and intelligent lifestyle choices that an individual may make. So, put simply, when we talk about health, we also have to talk about the systems that are in place to care for individuals, healthcare, how available it is in terms of can I readily get to a doctor or to a health facility, and when I do go to this facility, am I able to benefit from the services offered? And then it also has to do with, as an individual, what are the choices that I'm making? So, do I eat a lot of sugary food items? Do I get enough rest? Those are different things that are based on a person's choices, and that eventually impacts their health. Now, all of those now lead into a person's well being. In fact, you may actually be surprised by the definition of wellness. Now, although variously defined, depending on the context, according to the National Wellness Institute, wellness is considered an active process through which people become aware of and make choices toward a more successful existence. Now, if I may use an example, a present example, one of the things I personally noted is that during the COVID pandemic, many individuals started making certain choices. So, being locked up at home or due to the restrictions, many individuals started making use of the time to exercise. So, we may have been laid off from work, and as opposed to spending most of their time indoors watching television, being on social media, etc., many individuals started an exercise routine. Now, that has a lot to do with the choices that one makes in order to preserve their health and their overall well being. Because when the individual started feeling better about their circumstances, at least by means of their exercise, then they had a more positive outlook. Now, this definition of wellness focuses on three key things. One, wellness is considered a conscious, self directed, and involving process of achieving one's full potential. So the individual becomes aware of what they need to do to basically gain satisfaction in their life. Now, secondly, wellness is a multidimensional and holistic, encompassing lifestyle, mental, and spiritual well being, as well as the environment. So it encompasses not just one thing, but it takes into consideration that an individual has a balance in their lifestyle, their mental health, their spiritual well being, as well as in the environment that in which they're living or existing. And we're not just talking about the home environment or the community, but we're also focusing on the person's work environment when we talk about wellness. And then finally, wellness is positive and affirming. Now, in understanding the difference between health and wellness, in short, health is a state of being. It's basically where you exist, is either you are healthy or you are not healthy. Whereas wellness is a state of living a healthy lifestyle. And as mentioned earlier, it takes into consideration different things. Now, health refers to the physical, mental, and social well being. Well, while wellness aims to achieve or to enhance the well being. So it's basically us trying to amplify the physical, the mental, and the social when we talk about wellness. Now, life in practice is undoubtedly fraught with a lot of things that stresses us. And if we were to find a year in which we could say we had stressors, then 2020 is that year. Now, as such, as individuals, we recognize that there are different things that could threaten, these stressors could threaten our well being. Now, what that helps us to appreciate is that every day presents choices as to the extent to which we can do things to sustain our physical, mental, emotional, and social well being, and therefore preserve the balance among these various components that really work out to form our overall health. Now, optimal health comes from wellness, from making decisions and practicing behaviors that are based on sound health knowledge and healthful attitudes. Now, let's pause there for a moment and use that statement to segue into two things that we find as being a common aspect of our reality in Jamaica. Now, right now, we are faced with the COVID-19 pandemic. And for many of us, it's a scary thought because could we have it, or could someone, the next person we come across, have it? And being that we're addressing parents today, we can see the concern in that with schools reopening, it raises a lot of concern in your mind as to will my child be safe if they have to go into a physical learning environment? Now, there's that aspect of things. And then for many who, based on your work schedule, you may need to, school provided an avenue where you will know that your child was being cared for while you had to be at work, then it provides an imbalance, so to speak, or trying to balance various things. Now, as we talk about COVID, we want to put things into perspective so we can appreciate why it is that certain things are done. Now, when diseases are spread, there are three things that must come together. There is a susceptible host, the agent, and the environment. Now, the susceptible host is that individual or set of individuals who, based on their health status, their physical, mental, social well-being at the time, they're prime candidates for an infection or to be attacked by the agent. Now, the agent is whatever causes the disease. So, in this case, if we use COVID, we're talking about the SARS-CoV virus that affects individuals. And then the environment means where the susceptible host as well as the agent exist. Now, if all three of them are connected at the same time, then that is how disease occurs. Now, with the COVID-19 pandemic, the aim has been to eliminate or at least prevent all three from coming in contact with each other at the same time. Now, is what informs the decisions or the recommendations that have been given. So we've recommended regular and thorough cleaning of hands with soap and water, and in the absence of soap and water, an alcohol-based sanitizer that is at least 70% in its concentration. Now, why is that the case? Washing hands with soap and water or using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer or hand rub kills the virus that may be transferred from your hand onto someone else. Now, as parents, it's important not just to give your children the things that they may need or their hand sanitizer, etc., but help them to appreciate the importance of using it because they're protecting not just themselves, but they're also protecting others. Now, for many of us, we live in extended families with persons who have underlying conditions, asthmatics, individuals who have sickle cell disease, or other persons who may have other illnesses such as hypertension and diabetes. And it's important that we protect those individuals by means of the practices that we have. So, for a person who may be younger, they may not feel that they are at such a great risk of contracting the virus, but they need to take into consideration that if they contract it and they're not displaying symptoms, then everybody, including grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, who and even younger ones who have these underlying conditions, that they are at risk. Again, as we talk about keeping the agent and the susceptible host away from each other, we can understand why it was recommended that persons maintain a 3 feet or 1 meter distance. So that's basically, if you stretch your hand out when talking to someone, that's the distance we want to maintain. Now, it's difficult, but you may need to have practice sessions with your children at home to help them to appreciate what they can do to maintain distance with each other. Now, when someone coughs, sneezes, or speaks, there are droplets or spray that comes from the mouth or from the nose that may contain these viruses. And if you're too close to them, then you can breathe in these droplets, including the COVID-19 virus, if the person has the disease. Again, avoiding crowded spaces is important. Now, where people come from together, they're more likely to come in close contact with someone that has the COVID-19 virus. And it's more difficult in these crowded spaces to maintain physical distancing. And it's important for us to appreciate that point, physical distancing. In the early stages, we would have been talking a lot about social distancing, and we may still be speaking about it. But the idea is not to isolate individuals from each other, but rather in socializing to create a safe space. That's what we're talking about. So encourage your children to, and as parents, try when you're out with them to practice this maintenance of a safe space with them. Encourage them to avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth, because this is where they could pick up the virus from surfaces that were contaminated and then transfer them onto their body and then eventually cause themselves to end up with an infection. Now, if the child or someone else is ill, stay home. Self isolate, even for what we may consider to be minor symptoms. So, some things to look out for is a cough, a headache, a mild fever. And generally, when we're in what we call the febrile stage, that is when the illnesses tend to be at their worst in terms of being able to transfer from one person to the other. Now, as we continue talking about ensuring that we maintain a healthy environment, we find that our homes have now become transformed into workplaces, schools, places of recreation. And for that reason, some of the problems which would have confined to just one location, that is, in this case, a school, is now being spread into multiple places. Now, dengue fever is one of the issues that we continue to face, which affects the health and wellness of people in general. Now, dengue fever is an illness that is passed on by an infected Aedes aegypti mosquito. Particularly, I should emphasize female Aedes aegypti mosquito. Now, you may recognize them from their characteristic black and white stripes on their legs. So if you see them landing on a surface, then that black and white striped one is the one that you don't want in your surroundings. Now, these organisms or these mosquitoes, they are naturally in human environments, and especially at home, they will bite throughout the day and night. Even though they are more active during dawn or dusk, they're there all the time. Now, what we want to do is to ensure that we create an environment that does not facilitate the quick production. So we cannot completely eliminate the mosquito from our environment, but what we want to do is to not allow them to reproduce at a rate that's going to cause us to be ill. That's what we're aiming at. What does that mean? Mosquitoes reproduce between 3 to 7 days. Now, in 3 to 7 days, we want to be able to reduce the growth or eliminate it, especially when the temperature is hot and rainy. So at home, encourage your children to dispose of garbage properly. Don't indiscriminately throw stuff outside. Even a little cork from a drink bottle can have enough water to facilitate the breeding of mosquitoes. It also means that we help them to appreciate that if they were to get back into a school environment, it's important to manage the garbage properly, because indiscriminate disposal of garbage is important. Now, one garbage that we're generating now, and that's because of the whole COVID situation, because wipes, masks, gloves, all of this now is becoming a reality. It's a part of our everyday living. We want to ensure that our children understand that when they dispose of these, it must be done in a proper way. And while I forgot to mention it earlier, encourage your children when they're wearing their mask, whether at school or elsewhere, not to exchange it, because that's where the virus is going. With the aim is to contain the virus on this piece of cloth, which you may wash later on or you may dispose of. Going back to the whole matter of disposal. Now, if we indiscriminately dispose of it, then we are now putting other individuals at risk, and that's something that we want to avoid. So a takeaway as it relates to dengue fever, and we have to be mindful of it, is that Jamaica, it is endemic to our country, meaning that every year we can expect that many individuals are going to be affected by this virus. So it's our responsibility as individuals to cover containers when they contain water. If they're not being used, wash them out and turn them down. Dispose of our garbage properly, and also take certain other little measures such as wearing mosquito repellent, sleeping under a mosquito net. Those basic things as a part of the prevention and control measure. Now, as we talk a little bit about the environment, we want to appreciate that human health and well-being, they are linked to the environment. So a good quality natural environment provides the basic needs in terms of clean air, water, fertile land for food production and energy, and the material inputs for production. Now we have to be the ones who protects the environment so that we do not eventually harm ourselves. Now, the environment in which we live in represents an important pathway for human exposure to polluted air, noise, and hazardous chemicals, which eventually affects our overall health and well-being. Now, according to the World Health Organization research that was done in 53 European countries, it indicated that between 12 to 18% of all deaths recorded in those 53 countries was related to the fact that individuals were affected by diseases that were caused by the environment in which they live. So, what do we want to take away from our discussion today? A healthy person is not just one who is physically well, it takes into consideration the mental, physical, and the overall well being. Now, well being in general is impacted by health. And in a way, we could say that our well being is basically amplifying. It's the choices that we make that amplify all of those three things. So, if we exercise, eat well, sleep, and so forth, then we are amplifying our mental well being, which affects our social as well as our physical well being. Now, as we talk about our environment, we have to recognize that it is our responsibility to dispose of garbage properly. And in the COVID-19 pandemic, we want to take various steps. And as parents, it's important that you model the behavior that you want in your children. So, whether or not we accept the existence of this virus, it is real. So we want to take every possible step that we can to protect ourselves as well as those around us. Now bear in mind that a clean environment is essential for human health and well-being. So we want to ensure that we do all that we can as individuals to protect ourselves and those around us. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, uh, I'm back with you again to share with you some of the do's and don'ts of online teaching. Now, before I go into that discussion or that presentation, let me apologize for our Vice Principal, Mrs. R. Green, who should have been dealing with these matters but has been charged with the responsibility of dealing with some administrative duties, hence my being here with you. Now, online teaching is not easy. Much work will have to be done, and what it will mean is that accuracy and depth of learning or preparation for learning, depth of knowledge, depth of assessment are paramount to our preparation. Online learning is equally important, but it is an uncomfortable kind of process for some persons. So even whilst we're having this conference, I know it is difficult for some of you out there to even pay attention or to record what you're hearing. And so sometimes we will get a repeat of the questions you ask, or even when they are treated with, you will still ask the question. So we understand. We're all in this thing together. Knowledge and understanding, or knowledge, understanding, and practice make the process much better. I can assure you that after a week of everyday practice on the online portals, you will get better at it. Before we get into the do's and don'ts, I must clarify, you will get a timetable for your children. You will be orientated into the use of the timetable. 3, textbook collection and distribution schedules will be shared with you. So you need to understand that the orientation will be on. You will get your how to do videos. Those will help you to understand better how to even manage your timetable and manage it well. Based on the experiences of other persons, teachers, principals, and other personnel in online modalities, we recognize that there are some guidelines we must give you. Remember, we must be careful about what goes out into the virtual space. We have to be careful how we teach, what we teach, and whenever it goes out into the cloud, that ghost of a material may come back to haunt you at some other time. So be careful what you do, and that's why we're dealing with the do's and don'ts of the online learning. I will share the do's, and I can assure you that the don'ts are the opposite of these. So we go now. First and foremost, help your child to cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Gratitude to God, parents, teachers, the government for the learning opportunity they are getting. And by so doing, before the timetable is activated each day, have a little devotion with your child, or engage them in devotion, or teach them to have a little devotion. Set themselves, prepare themselves, prepare their minds. Prepare a special place in the home. Even if you only have a table and chair, you might not be able to provide a desk and chair, but a table and chair. Prepare a designated space for them to learn in. I believe that if you allow them to put on their uniforms, it may also help because psychologically speaking, when children are dressed a certain way, they behave a certain way. So have them put on their uniform, sit around the desk or the table, and have them get ready for each day. You have to ensure that the environment is free from distractions. So background music has to be presented low plane or none at all. So if a child prefers to hear a little music, and it can't be the hardcore boof boof boof. It has to be the soft instrumentals and all of that. So allow them not to have friends around or movies and games. So they step off the classroom because the classroom portal because they finish and they play a game and come back. The teacher may be preparing or presenting and the child loses out. When they are on tasks, they are not to be distracted. Timetable their chores, parents. Timetable their chores. So that you don't have to disturb them. I know what it is to be a parent. In the middle of the child doing something, you're calling them, please go take up the clothes from the line. Or turn off the stove. We can't have that kind of distraction. It will interfere with this child's learning. So timetable their chores, just as they would if they were to come to school, they would have been doing some chores at home, they come to school, they go back to the chores. So timetable them in such a way that they will not, their learning will not be disrupted. In all things we have to give thanks. So even though online learning is new, it is not all bad. And so I trust that you will understand that the children learning in an environment of quietness, and if they share a classroom, if they're on WhatsApp alone, it's not bad. But if they share a classroom, the distracting images and the actions and the sounds will affect the others within the classroom. The dress code of the child and the parent, and remember I said earlier on, is good to put on the uniforms. It's better to put on the uniforms. Sit at home in their uniforms, they will feel like they're at school. That's how manipulative a child's brain is. But even the dress code of the parent must be that which you would want to see years from now. You would want to see out there. So I'm telling you the do's. Dress up nicely, dress up the child, and ensure that you are ambassadors of your homes, ambassadors of your communities, good ambassadors of Jamaica, good ambassadors of the Ministry of Education. How we dress tells a lot about us. Try to be kind to your children, even when they seem to be failing or having difficulty understanding what the teacher is saying online. Don't bash them. Don't tell them, why listen to the teacher? It sometimes intimidates even the best of us. We become distracted, and once we become distracted, learning, the brain just shuts down right there. You have to help us, parents. And then I'm sure you will appreciate how it is that we have schools and how wonderful a place school is where you are. You don't have to be there. The teacher is there with your child and they can be focused. So help us to help them. Whenever there is a video presentation or so, it is imperative that mics are muted. With the older children, they may be exposed to different platforms, and so their mics have to be muted when the teachers and the students are speaking. By that I mean, you have to turn on the mics. And there's a little gadget there. When you do the how to do videos, you will see how to turn off the mics. You will notice that all you got to do is shift your little um, the mouse, or shift your finger when it's a touch screen, or allow the child to manipulate it, and the dialog box or whatever will come up. And when it pops up, you will see where you can touch a button and the mic goes off. Allow the child to attend the class. You can't attend class for the child. I don't have a problem with a parent sitting in a class with a child. But I would hope that you sit in a class for support for your child. You cannot attend the class for your child. That means the child gone up to shop and you are at class. You have to ensure that the child remains in the classroom so that the child's learning can be impacted. You would understand, parents, that our children learn differently, let alone a parent's learning as opposed to a child's way of learning. So you will be regurgitating probably easily what the teacher may say. The child does not necessarily learn that way. The child sometimes tunes out the voice of the teacher, but is able to pick up from the shared screen or the visual or what the child sees in the video. So let the child sit judiciously, sit quietly, sit undisturbed so that he or she can learn on his or her own. I know you want to hear, but this time it's about children's learning. If there are more than one children in one space, choose special spaces for them, or do a little to-do kind of exercise with them. Work with them, sit with them, tell them about the do's and don'ts of interrupting Mary or John when he's at school online. Consider other students when there's a video conferencing. Consider other students. It means, therefore, that we cannot be shouting across the room and telling John how we see them, continuing a conversation, the teacher has stopped the conversation. We can't be throwing words. We come into the room and the teacher says good morning. All of us can't answer at the same time. Some may need to put a hand up, or some may need to clap. And the children can manipulate the computer. They will be able to. So don't worry. There is an icon for clapping. There's an icon for raising the hand. They will learn all of that out there. So don't be flustered, parents. Just watch them. Watch your little experts working the computers. But remember, there are other students in the space and they will want to hear too. So if you are talking, for example, the child is talking or you are talking to them and they pause to talk to you, that sound is a feedback now to the other children who might be, get better learning and listening. Okay? Finally, I said to you, online learning ain't easy. Follow the timetable for break and rest periods. So when it is break, give that little 20 minutes for break. And break is to be used to catch up the stomach or to use the restroom. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, the child cannot take break just willy-nilly anytime they want to get up from the space. They have to remember that if they are not in the class, it's not easy for them to learn. This is not a space where we can have truants. If we have truants in the online space, we are going to have children who don't perform well on exams, and children who don't perform well on exams are going to fall out of the boat. I don't want any drowning, educational drowning, so to speak. So ladies and gentlemen, we will outfit you with other do's. And remember I said the don'ts are the opposite of these things. We can't be in the background where we're talking. We have to try our best to speak properly to the children. We have to observe order and decency. So no, we can't use certain expressions with the children. And no, it helps us to be better Christians. So we can't use certain terminology with the children. We have to understand ourselves. So we have to discipline ourselves. So you use them words there. We have to remember, no, you've gone viral, you've gone out into the open, and everybody would, especially if pastor watching, pastor is going to know that you, the parent, using them kind of words to the child. Remember, choose designated spaces for the other children who may be there. Allow the child to attend class. I know it's not easy. Some of you are in spaces where probably you serve other places from home and you have to deal with the baby while the child is working. And sometimes you have to work out a timetable as if the child were at school. Muting the mics, meaning turning them off, trying to be kind to the child, even when you think the child is failing, dress up well. We are ambassadors of our homes, our communities, Jamaica, and the world. We want to look good out there, not just for Green Island High. Remember, whatever is stored out there virtually may come back to haunt you. Remember, cut down on the distractions in the background and make for the children. The older students may not want to dress up in their uniforms, but especially the 7 to 9, let them dress in their uniform, sit around a desk and table, and have a little devotion. I started with that and ended with that. Have a little bit devotion with your children if you're at home. If you're not at home, leave them with the Bible verse to read before. So it settles their minds, it settles their mood. And remember, tell them to be grateful. It could be worse, where they are not having online learning and they have to sit at home. And I know it is really a drag to sit at home. It is boring, boredom personified. And I don't want them to get in any trouble out there. Help them to get online. And if they get online, they are connected. They will learn. They will excel. Excellence, ladies and
This is truly the day that the Lord has made, and all of us that are alive need to give Him thanks for waking us up. You may not be 100% well in your body, but you're alive. So we give Him thanks. I want to welcome all those who are online and all our presenters that have already given their portion, especially our principal, Mistress Evans. God bless you all. Parents, students, and teachers of Green Island High, welcome. And therefore, my encouragement to us all today is that time and season has truly changed. Not even the principal, nor the Minister of Education, nor no one in this island or the world ever dreamed that there will be no school during this term. No getting together, no gathering in your classroom. None of us could have seen this when 2020 started. But God has everything under control and in His control. And therefore, as time and season change, I get to comfortable these days to use a word. It's time for us to reposition ourselves, reposition our personal lives and different things in our homes and schools. And today we are repositioning ourselves, as you have already learned through the principle. A simple type of learning will be e-learning or online learning. It's a tremendous task, of which I can take a couple seconds quickly to give you my personal testimony. That right now my grandchildren is at home, and for the past 2 weeks they're supposed to fly over to the States to go back to school. But our mom, who is not computer versed, says you better stay with daddy and learn with your grandfather and everybody. And they are just like if they are in classroom at home. As the principal has said it, Madam Principal, it's tedious. It's one that is boring. It's one that will develop characters new. It's not easy to just sit there and watch a kid just talking or writing. As a matter of fact, God bless you teachers too, because there will be a lot of distractions. And I'm glad how the principal emphasized, create an environment or reposition the dining hall or the bedroom with a table so that distraction, because I'm accustomed to come out of my room into the bathroom, into the dining hall, straight to the kitchen. Now I have to come out, I have to slide to the bathroom, slide to the other room, and then go to the kitchen. It's reposition. All is repositioning. I don't want to make a mistake and be half naked to the world. So we are preparing you that everything you do in your home with this computer will not be erased for years to come. And then distraction, walking with a piece of chicken in your hand. I accustomed to walk and eat chicken and sit down on the television with my shorts and in my own home. Now all that we have to reposition. And you know what? The inconvenience will be off. It's the betterment of your child. It's the betterment for the future of your generation. And therefore, the second part of it, we will learn to appreciate the work that our teachers and principals have been doing for years. When the children complain that teacher this and teacher that, you are now put by God, not the government. God is forcing all of us to reposition. Stay at home and teach your child. Stay at home and see how your child behaves when work is given. Stay at home and see just half an hour. Only half an hour they have to listen for. And look at what they're doing. They're pinching each other, calling for water, asking for that. Sometimes, just as the principal say, they turn off the monitor or touch some button to distract the teachers. And they go into a game. I noticed my son, who is their father, had to be sitting there for hours. From the kitchen when he come back, Daddy, somebody turn off the thing. Who is the somebody and you alone is there? So children will always be children. Some of them are smart. And they are smart with the computer more than you and I. But all when you don't understand what they have to do, sit there. You will see the teacher visibly there. And once the teacher is there, class starts at 10:30 to 11 o'clock. Well, then that's half an hour. You will be there with them. And therefore, I encourage you. It wouldn't be easy, but it's a learning process for all of us. Even to the banks. You can't go there and say, bring the money to bank anymore. You can't even go to the counter and say, please, $20,000. They're not giving you. Your grandchildren or your child have to teach you how to use the machine. That's the way of the world. And therefore, as the chairman of United High, I am proud of the work we have done. I'm proud of our teachers and principals. I'm proud of the students, all of you. And therefore, continue to make Green Island the place of excellence. Continue to lift the banner high. And therefore, I encourage teachers. It will not be easy to. Teachers, there will be system, and you know there are systems put in place to monitor you, the time, and different things. Do your best. It's not the time to relax and say, that's good. I got time in my yard and sleep a little later. You have to be a more responsible teacher. There will be students who turn up late, who turn on late, but there will be students who have a spirit of excellence too. There are students who are versed in their computer waiting for you. So teachers, even if it's 4 students, do it with excellence. Please, do it with excellence. And there will be negative comments. There will be constructive and destructive comments. Don't take it to heart. Do your job that you are qualified and trained to do. And not only trained, it's your heart desire to be a teacher. And remember, all of us had a teacher, all of us need a teacher, and the world will always need you. May God bless the parents. Parents, continue to do your good work. And last, before I go, I will encourage those who are not computer literate or understand anything at all, whether mother or child or grandmother, have a neighbor. This is an occasion for you to connect with a neighbor's child that you didn't want to talk to. No, your child can build that relationship with a neighbor's child. And come together and pool that money and put on the internet. Just for 3 homes to come together. So don't sit there because school would know. The President of the United States, I woke up this morning, himself and wife have corona. And he is over 70. So may God help him and may our prayers work for him. But he was one of them that used to boast that nothing named corona. And he never catch it and he don't want a mask. What am I saying? Is that in spite of how powerful he is, corona reached the biggest man in the world with the richest doctors around him and more educated doctors. He still have it. So we don't want to send your child here. Come together, take home corona and kill off mama and daddy. So the best thing, put on your pride. Put on your pride. Reach out to the neighbor. Your child knows people who know about computer, other students. Receive them as a pool, not more than 3 or 4. And let them study together, come together, pool the money, buy the car, or have the internet hook up. It's for your child's future. And mommy and daddy, caregiver, parents, let me tell you something. 5 years, 10 years from now, whatever sacrifice you made for your child, or your nephew or niece or whoever that child is to you, that child will remember and thank you for helping them to be where they are 10 years from now. They will be your sole breadwinner, who knows. Thank you for the sacrifice. So pull together. There is no excuse. God bless you. I want to pray before I go. Father, thank you for all those online. Thank you for our principal of Green Island and the administrative staff, auxiliary staff, the teachers, precious teachers. Oh God, give them the wisdom. Give them the strength and the understanding. The precious parents. Oh God, some of them have to go to work and still will have to rely on the child to develop their own strength to concentrate and do their work. But God, give them the wisdom. Bless the students. Bless the community they are in. Provide for those who are in need. Strength for today and bright hopes for tomorrow. And those online, I pray for you all. God bless you. God keep you. And God bless Green Island High. In Jesus' name. Amen. Love you all.
Good afternoon, my lovely parents and students. Thanks for your patience. The pleasure is mine to extend vote of thanks to you all. Green Island High School has never been void of the recognition that parents do deserve. It is on this note that I want to thank you, parents, for making the effort to attend this conference. This new norm has presented more unexpected challenges and twists to all that we imagined school would actually be for the academic year 2020 to 2021. Nevertheless, you have made tremendous efforts to have your children enrolled for learning. You are indeed valued members of our school community. To our chairman, Mr. Pastor Bates, we want to thank you for enabling this year's opening with your presence. We are happy that you continue to serve and share in the relationship we have embraced with our school's Parent Teachers Association. I'd like to thank our principal, Mrs. Maxine Evans, who continues to work assiduously with the staff to keep abreast of the many changes that formal learning may be possible. Your engagement in this forum is assuring, and we continue to look forward to the success stories of the institution you ably share. As part of our ethos of Green Island High, we are committed to raising our students to the awareness of their existence as a wonderful part of creation. It is therefore important to give God thanks and seek His divine leading in all our lives. Our devotional exercise was led by Mrs. Hewitt, and as always, she is dependable leader. In this capacity, sometimes we term her our school chaplain. It was quite an inspirational way to begin this conference. I could not possibly present on all the topics for discussion today on our own. Neither would I be able to give you such a comprehensive coverage of the details to which we were provided on. Thanks to our representative from Hanover Health Department, Mr. Edward Cunningham. Thanks to the members from the Guidance Council Department, Mrs. Francis and Mr. Dodd. Thanks to our school nurse, the support she gave. And also to our vice principal, who although gave her part was unable to share with us, but her valued contribution should not go unnoticed. I am also assured that parents are no more aware now than they came this morning, and some of the issues and concerns that you had have been cleared up. We cannot answer all the questions now because we work in conjunction with the Ministry of Education, and so as soon as we have details, you will get saved. Very often, we are amidst of the persons who work in the background to enable events like these. Staging an online conference is never possible without a technical personnel. And I'd like to thank Mr. Griffiths for his support in this area. He has ably and effectively made this conference a virtual reality. To those who have assisted in preparing the ambience from which we present to you, I say thanks. Parents, your feedback and queries we try to respond to. And we look forward to your support as we continue to ensure that the students get the kind of support that they need here at school. The staff of Green Island High wishes to assure you all that our pupils, your children, continue to learn, develop, and reach their potential holistically. I want to thank you all, and I pray that Jehovah God's blessing continue